Welcome to StoryModeOn. Grab a snack and a drink and settle in. This one's called The Voice on Hold. The hold music started at 7:04, and Jonah knew the minute without looking at the clock because his shoulders had already begun to ache. Hold Cloud's loop was 37 seconds of synthetic piano pretending to be hope. He had heard it 4,000 times. He had counted once, during a bad winter, and then stopped counting because numbers turned his life into evidence. Now the piano returned every night through his headset, while strangers explained their grief. Backups failed. Dead mothers' photos turned to grey thumbnails. The world could not be trusted to keep a single file safe. "Take your time," he said, and his voice came out flat and kind in exactly the right proportions. That was the job. Absorb the complaint. Mirror the urgency without catching fire. The woman on the line was crying without sound. He could hear it in the wet catch of her breath between words. Her wedding video. Gone. She kept saying she should have paid for the premium tier, as if grief needed a receipt. "I'm sorry this happened," Jonah said, and meant it in the narrow way the script allowed. He walked her through restore steps he had walked through 400 times. His fingers moved on the keyboard while his voice stayed gentle and separate, a service animal trained for other people's panic. When she finally disconnected, his jaw ached from smiling without teeth. His apartment was dark except for the monitor. A mug of tea had gone skin cold at his elbow. On the wall behind the desk, a foam panel still bore the shallow imprint of a microphone mount he had removed 3 years ago and never filled in. Sometimes his eyes found that empty circle during long calls, the way a tongue finds a missing tooth. Below the menu had been his show. Urban infrastructure, sealed rooms, the architecture cities hid behind menus of normal life. 42 episodes. Enough of an audience that strangers recognized his cadence in line at the grocery store. Enough that when the hospital tunnel episode dropped, the recognition curdled. He still did not know which accusation had done the most damage. That he had invented the graffiti, that he had exploited patients who could not consent, or that he had gone somewhere he should not have, and deserved whatever came next. The comments had arrived in a single swollen hour, then the emails, then the silence from people he thought were friends. For months afterward he had checked his own name the way other people checked weather, scanning for tone, for heat, for whether it was safe to speak in public. The habit never fully left. It lived in his shoulders now, in the way he cleared his throat before every hold cloud greeting, as if politeness could preempt harm. Jonah finished the call, tagged the ticket, rolled his neck until something clicked. In the bathroom mirror, his mouth looked borrowed. He practiced nothing. He went back to the queue. The message arrived on a Thursday, which was wrong because Thursdays were for grocery delivery, and the laundromat downstairs overcharging for dryers. His phone buzzed during the 2 a.m. lull. The preview read, "Marin, I think I know your voice." He almost deleted it unread. Marin had been a listener from the early episodes. He remembered her handle from patron thank yous, brisk and loyal. After the pile-on, she had been one of the quiet ones who simply vanished, which he had been grateful for without admitting it. Her message continued. Hold music on Hold Cloud meme thread. Recognized you. If you're still working nights, I have a thought. No pressure. He stared at the foam panel's ghost. She proposed coffee on Saturday. He almost said no. His body said yes before his mind caught up. A hunger so old it felt like thirst. Second shelf smelled like paper, and dust warmed by sun. Ren stood behind the counter, reading glasses low on his nose, and did not ask why Jonah looked like a man visiting his own grave. Marin was already at the back table with 2 cups ordered. She looked sharper than her avatar suggested. Real confidence, not performed. She spoke quickly, as if respect for his fear might scare the opportunity away. "The audience didn't vanish," she said. "It fractured. There's still a room for what you do. The real digging, not the apology tour stuff people wanted afterward. I've been producing small shows for 2 years. Sponsors. Patreon infrastructure. My cousin has a garage studio that doesn't echo." Jonah heard himself ask about metrics, downloads, growth curves, the old language returning to his mouth like a second tongue. Marin smiled. "We don't need to be huge. We need to be undeniable." That word lodged under his ribs. Undeniable. As if the last 3 years had been a clerical error he could correct with better audio. Wren walked past with a stack of mysteries and said quietly, "Eat something," without joining the table. Jonah ate a scone he didn't taste. By March he had a microphone again. The garage studio smelled of sawdust and USB cables. Merrin had hung moving blankets on the walls and taped a paper sign that said, "Quiet," in red marker, as if volume could be legislated. Her cousin's tools still hung on pegboard behind the pop filter. Jonah sat in a folding chair that wobbled when he shifted his weight. The first recording session felt like stepping into heated water. Painful at first, then numb, then something like pleasure as his own cadence returned. He talked about freight elevators, the ones that still ran on relay switches older than the buildings they served. About a sub-basement postal tunnel nobody mapped anymore, how the air tasted like iron and old glue. His hands stopped shaking by minute 18. Merrin listened with her chin in her palm. When he paused, she did not rush him. That patience felt like love, and frightened him equally. Episode 1 released on a Tuesday. Downloads climbed within hours. Patreon notifications chimed on his phone like small approvals. Merrin sent a voice memo. "This is the shape. Lean in." He leaned. Sponsors wanted FaceTime. The VPN company loved forgotten systems as a metaphor for privacy. Merrin booked a second episode before he had finished editing the first. She sent clip timestamps. Here, cut here. Hook in the first 12 seconds. Jonah told himself this was modern craft, not cowardice. Episode 2 was about storm drains, the ones that swallowed whole intersections during flash floods, the metal grates people walked over without looking down. He recorded it in one take because he was tired and the words came out rougher, more alive. Merrin frowned at the waveform. "We'll clean it," she said. "Rough reads honest on short video." The cleaned version went live. Downloads rose again. Jonah listened to both files back to back late one night, and could not tell which man he preferred. At Hold Cloud, a caller recognized him anyway. "I know that voice," the man said, not unkindly. "You used to do that underground podcast. My son loved it." Jonah's throat tightened. "I'm glad it meant something." He said you went quiet because people online are insane. After the call, Jonah sat in the dark kitchen, unable to decide if he was the man who had gone quiet or the man pretending he hadn't. Wren texted after episode 2. "Sounds fuller. Also sounds like you're shouting again." Jonah typed and deleted 3 replies. He sent, "I'm fine." Episode 3 was Merrin's idea, an accountability segment addressing the hospital tunnel. "Not groveling," she said. "Growth. People want to see you've changed." "I haven't been back," Jonah said. "I don't know what I'd say." "Say you understand why it hurt. Say you'd do it differently." He understood the second part. The first felt like wearing someone else's apology. He wrote at the kitchen table until 2 in the morning, script glowing on the screen. Lines that sounded humble and landed like performance. He typed, "I see now how my curiosity read as extraction," and deleted it. He typed, "I was young and reckless," and deleted that too. What remained was polished regret without a single rough edge he recognized as his own. Merrin coached his cadence over speakerphone. "Pause here. Soften here. Don't sound defensive. People need to hear you mean it," she said. "I do mean parts of it." "Which parts?" He didn't answer. He recorded 6 takes in the garage while her cousin mowed the lawn outside, a steady buzz leaking through the blankets. Take 4 broke on the word consent. Take 6 was smooth. The best one made his skin prickle because it was competent and empty, the way his Hold Cloud voice was competent and empty. When he played it back, he heard a man who had learned to sound repentant, the way other people learned accents. Downloads spiked. Someone clipped the apology to 41 seconds. Merrin forwarded it with fire emojis. Jonah watched the clip without sound and saw a stranger mouthing virtue. The pressure arrived not as a single blow, but as schedule. Content calendar. Sponsor read. Thumbnail meeting. Jonah's sleep fractured. He answered Hold Cloud tickets with the same mouth that promised redemption on the mic. The 2 voices braided until he could not tell which was lying. Marin wanted episode 4 to name names. You don't have to sue, just imply. Clip gold. I don't want clip gold. You want to be right or you want to be heard? He recorded the episode. He implied. His stomach hurt for 2 days afterward. Marin played him the rough cut in her car with the engine off. Jonah heard his own voice naming a former collaborator. Not quite a name. Close enough to wound. Marin squeezed his knee once. Proud. This is what they share, she said. He could not eat dinner after. Ren came up to the apartment with soup after Jonah missed their standing chess night for the 3rd time. You look like you're auditioning for your own life, Ren said. It's working. The numbers are... I didn't ask about numbers. Jonah ate soup. Ren washed the bowl without comment. Before he left, he said, Your early episodes sounded like you were telling the truth, because you didn't know anyone was listening. The notification sound arrived at 11:47. Marin had posted a behind-the-scenes clip to promote episode 4. Jonah laughing in the garage, mid-sentence, saying, They're so hungry for it, about the audience reaction. Context died in transit. The laugh looked cruel. The word hungry looked like contempt. By morning the clip had travelled somewhere Jonah could not follow. Old accusations reopened as if no time had passed. New ones attached. Fraud. Grifter. Abuse tourist. Sponsors emailed Marin first. She forwarded one to Jonah with the subject line, We can weather this. He didn't want to open social apps, but he opened them anyway. The clip autoplayed in miniature. His laugh looped into a sneer. Strangers stitched it beside the apology from episode 3, until both performances looked like one confession. His DMs filled with messages he wouldn't read aloud. Jonah closed the laptop and sat with his hands on his knees until the radiator knocked. He called her. She sounded tired and electric at once, the way people sound when catastrophe also means relevance. I didn't mean, he started. I know, but we need a statement. I already apologized. That was healing. This is survival. She told him she had shared a Slack message with a journalist friend to balance the narrative. His private vent, weeks old. In the message he had called the audience hungry. He had meant desperate. He had meant wounded. He had meant himself. The word on screen looked like his true face. He hung up without agreeing to a statement. That night he deleted things the way some people drink. Fast at first, then slower, then with shaking hands. The below-the-menu archive went first. 42 episodes, the tunnel show, the freight elevator debut, the awkward first intro where he laughed at his own echo, Patreon page, gone. Drafts in Hold Cloud's own product, gone. Irony had no mercy. Marin's shared drive access revoked. Newsletter sign-up he had started and abandoned, gone. Each confirmation box asked, Are you sure, in calm corporate font. He was both sure and unsure. His finger hovered over delete longer for episode 12 than for episode 41. Memory made some files heavier. When the hosting dashboard finally read 0 bytes, his stomach dropped as if he had stepped off a stair that was not there. His apartment filled with the silence of deleted work. The foam panel ghost seemed to widen. He tried to record a test sentence. Just his name. Just proof the instrument still worked. His voice broke on the second syllable. He tried again and flinched at the headphone feedback. A thin whine, like distant accusation. Morning light found him still at the desk, headset on, though no shift had started. Throat raw as if he had been screaming. He hadn't been screaming. That was almost worse. The damage done without sound. Ren appeared because Jonah had forgotten to remove a calendar hold for basement storage, and Ren had the shared key for deliveries. He took in the monitor, the blank hosting dashboard, Jonah's face. You erased it, Ren said. Yeah. All of it? All of it. Ren set a glass of water on the desk. Jonah drank it like a man learning a forgotten skill. They won, Jonah said. No one won. That's not how this works. Marin called 11 times. He didn't answer. Emails stacked, some furious, some pleading, some offering second chances that felt like traps dressed as mercy. The old underworld hadn't been poverty. It had been this. His voice turned into evidence against him. For a week he worked Hold Cloud shifts without speaking more than required. His metrics at work improved. He wanted to vomit. Ren did not lecture. He left a paperback on the stoop. Essays about radio operators who sent messages no one acknowledged. Jonah read it in the bathtub until the water cooled. On the 8th day, he opened a blank document and wrote about hold music. Not about the hospital. Not about Merrin. About the 37-second loop, how it trained callers to lower their shoulders. How he had absorbed 10,000 griefs through that piano and never once been asked his name. The essay was ugly and specific. He didn't write a hook. He didn't read it for clip length. Ren offered the basement. 9 chairs is fine, Jonah said. 12, but okay. He didn't promote on platforms he had deleted. Ren put a handwritten sign in the shop window. Reading. Thursday. Basement. No recording. 9 people came. Folding chairs scraped on concrete. Someone coughed into a scarf. 1 left early. Footsteps on the stairs. Door chime upstairs. Then quiet again. Jonah's hands shook for the first paragraph, paper trembling faintly, then steadied when he stopped trying to sound undeniable. He had printed the essay because he didn't trust screens anymore. The pages smelled like toner and his cheap kitchen. He read about hold music, about the way kindness on a headset can be real and still cost the person speaking, about deleting your own archive because you could not tell which voice was yours anymore. When he finished, the room didn't erupt. People breathed. Someone cried quietly, not performatively. A woman waited until the others had gone upstairs. I worked maintenance at that hospital, she said. Years ago. I never heard your episode until after they took it down. Someone sent me the clip. Jonah's chest tightened. The graffiti was real, she said. Not all of it, but some. You got the fear right. He didn't ask her to stay on mic. He didn't ask for her name for future content. He said, "Thank you for telling me," and meant it as receipt, not material. She left. Ren locked the basement door and said, "Same time next month?" Jonah thought about Merrin's voice memos, about sponsors, about the first dream, viral return, redemption arc, audience restored. That version had required him to keep one eye on the scoreboard at all times. No recording, he said again, as if saying it could make it true. No recording, Ren agreed. Jonah started a newsletter called Static Address. No comments. Optional paid tier that 3 people used, then 5. He wrote about freight elevators, about hold loops, about the foam panel ghost on his wall. He read live every month to a room that fit in one breath. He kept Hold Cloud part-time until summer, then dropped to 3 shifts a week. Enough money. Not enough piano. The second reading drew 10 people. 1 brought a thermos of soup without comment, and left it on the radiator pipe afterward. Jonah drank it cold the next morning and thought about how care could arrive without an audience attached. Merrin emailed once from a new domain. You could still. He archived it unread. One night in the apartment, mic on a borrowed stand where the foam ghost used to be, he recorded a sentence just to test. His voice didn't break. It didn't sound like customer support. It didn't sound like redemption. It sounded like a man speaking in a room small enough to hear himself think. He saved the file without uploading it. He made tea. The radiator knocked once, familiar as punctuation. Outside, the city kept its hidden rooms, sealed tunnels, freight elevators, basements under bookshops where 9 chairs could hold more breath than any metric he had ever watched climb. He didn't open his phone. He didn't check whether anyone was listening. For the first time in years, that was not the same as being alone. If you got this far into the video, please let me know what you thought of the story in the comments below, and subscribe for more.